Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, California Resources Corporation, Kern County Water Agency, Southern California Edison, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, and Panama Buena Vista Union School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Hi, I'm Don, and I'm here at Loudon Elementary, home of the Leopards. We're here to...
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Chuck. Give us a call here in Bakersfield at 636-4357. San Luis Obispo at 1-866-636-6284. You can email us questions at dothemath@kern.org. You can watch the show live online at dothemathonline.net. And look for us on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, speaking of email, there was a student from Centennial High School emailed the problem in. So if you happen to be watching right now, we will return and respond to that right after the program this afternoon. We have a 5th grade call-in contest going on.
Good.
And last week was the first week of this. And Noble Elementary is a class that is right up there towards the top with the 5th grade call-ins right now. We will have people available until 5:30. But before we get to our first guest of the afternoon, let's first take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News has to do kind of with the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah, we'll work our way around that a little bit. You know, always it will come around somehow. I'll connect it. The Super Bowl, everything's always a lot of numbers connected with the Super Bowl.
Oh, yes.
The half-minute ads, $5 million, things like that. The top 5 ads, all of the stats for the game.
Oh, yes.
You know,
all of the stats.
So there's constant bombardment of numbers that you could do, and there are a lot of people that make a nice living off of just doing all of these numbers and statistics for sporting events.
Right.
So if somebody's into sports and, you know, they can operate with numbers, they could get a career in both of those things kind of tied together.
One way or the other, yep.
But instead of Super Bowl numbers, we're going to do super cool numbers, all right? Now, these numbers are kind of cool because I found these numbers, and the first one, Munchausen number 3435.
Now, I notice it says Munchausen number.
Right, not numbers, all right? Named after the 18th century German nobleman Baron von Munchausen. This number takes its name from the ability to raise itself. A Munchausen number is one that equals the sum of its digits raised to that digit's power. All right, so we take a look.
Wow.
So the only number, 1, obviously, okay, but 3,435, okay? So we take 3, raise it to the 3rd power. 4, raise it to the 4th power. 3, once again, to the 3rd power. 5, raise it to the 5th power. So you're taking each of the numbers and raising it to that power. You do that, you get 27 plus 256 plus 27 plus 3125 equals 3,435. That is the only Munchausen number.
My question is, who found that number and how long did it take them?
Well, he did, and he found it sometime during the 18th century.
Wow.
So, and there are a lot of these, and I figured, all right, we'll do one other one. All right? Capricar's constant, 6174.
Okay.
All right? If you perform the following process, the operation will always yield 6,174 in no more than 7 iterations.
Okay.
All right, so here's what you do. You take any 4-digit number using at least 2 different numbers. So you can't go like 88888.
Right.
Okay, you could go 8887 if you wanted to. You could have one number different.
Right.
But we start off with 7455. All right. Arrange the numbers in descending and then ascending order to get 2 4-digit numbers. So we take 7455, arrange them to make the largest number possible. Then arrange them to make the smallest number possible. Take the difference of those. We get 2997. Now, we take that and we arrange those numbers into the largest number possible. Take away from it the smallest number possible, you get 7173. We keep on going with that. 7173, you can make 7731 minus 1377, you get 6354. Anyway, you keep going through this process. No more than 7 of these will you have to go through. You will always end up with 6174.
And
I think that's pretty cool.
And if you do it with 6174,
well, you know what? How about if you want to try that?
yeah, so
All right, let's
you
try
get
it. Let's
6174.
go up to the board.
So what happens when you get 6174?
Let's find out right now. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm sure there are students going, hey, let's see what happens there, wise guy. And exactly that is what we will do. So the number we want is 6174.
6174.
So now
you
arrange
said-
those into the largest number
So
possible,
it's going to be
641.
641,
Now take away from that the smallest number.
which would be 1467, right?
Correct.
And if I do that subtraction, let's see, I'm going to get
You're
4.
only going to need to do this once.
Looks like it. 13 minus 6 is 7. And let's see, that was a 5 and a 6. So we get 6174
Right.
if we put in 6174. So it just keeps the same.
And that is today's Math in the News. 636-4357 is the phone number. Phone tutor's available until 5:30, so I figured those were cool numbers to do.
Those were interesting, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Somebody had a lot of time on their hands to find those two numbers.
Well, a lot of mathematicians, it seems as though they do sometimes. Speaking of, let's do a math problem right now that
Okay.
some of the students are working on.
Sure.
It has to do with percent.
All right?
30% of a number is 8.4.
Of a number
Correct. Is 8.4.
is 8.4.
What is 37.5%? What is 37.5% of the number as a decimal to the nearest tenth?
Okay, what is 37.5%
of the number,
of the number?
decimal form to the nearest tenth?
Okay, so I guess one way we could do this problem is if 30% of a number is 8.4, we could work that problem out and get the answer to that. And then we could take that number and put it in here and take 37.5% of that number and get an answer. But that seems like a lot of work because there should be an easier way to do it because we have a percent here and a percent here and we have a number here and a number here. So we should be able to compare those
Right.
without going through all of that work. Instead of doing two pretty involved percent problems, can we do this as a ratio problem?
That would be the best way, I think.
That would save us a lot of time instead of doing that. And this will work, right? I know everybody can find the answer to that problem, and we can find it in this one, but it sounds like with those decimals and rounding off, that might be a little messy. So let's try to do it this way. Let's see if I can do this right. I'm going to compare 30%, which is what we have, to 37.5%, right? So if 30% of some number is 8.4, I want to find 37.5% of the number, and that's going to be x. So I think that's going to give us the right answer by comparing the percents and comparing the two numbers. And you notice I'm not even going to change these to decimals. I'm not even going to change 30%. I'm just going to cancel out those percents. And I'm going to do this problem as a straight ratio problem or proportion problem, and let's cross multiply. I'm going to multiply 30 times x, and I'm going to multiply 37.5 times 8.4. So that should be pretty easy. 20, that's 28, and 2, that's 30, and 12 and 3 is 15. So 4 times that is 1500. 8 times that is 40. 56 and 4 is 60. And 8 times 3 is 24 and 6, that's 30. So that's nice round numbers. Is that right? 8 times 40, 56, carry the 6, 24 and 6 is 30. Yes. And so I get 0, 0, 5, 1, 3. And I've got 2 decimal places, so that looks like this is going to equal 315. So it looks like the hardest thing I had to do is do that cross multiplying, and now I'm going to divide by 30. And you wanted this answer rounded off to the
Nearest tenth.
nearest tenth, so that's not too bad. I'm going to take and divide by 30 here, and I get 30 into 31 is once. That's 30. And 30 goes into 15, it doesn't. So I added 0, and 30 goes into 15 5 times, so it looks like my answer is 10.5. So if 30% of a number is 8.4, it makes sense that 37.5% of the number would be a little bit bigger than 8.4, so 10.5 looks like a reasonable answer to this problem.
And indeed it is correct. Nicely done on that. 636-4357 is the phone number, toll free. That number is 1-866-636-6284. In studio with us right now, a return guest, Dr. Roy Lefevre. How are you?
I'm fine. Good to see you, Mike.
Nice to see you again. And you're here this time. Well, first of all, remind everybody your role at CSUB.
Well, I've got a few of them. I'm on the faculty in the chemistry and biochemistry department. I've been there since 1996, so...
You've seen a lot of changes happen at the university then.
Yeah, actually I have.
I mean, basically 20 years, you've seen a lot of things.
I have, and I would say the last 10 years especially. The first 10 years I was on campus, there was small, subtle changes, but there's been some significant changes in the last 10 years with the new Student Rec Center, the new Science Building. We actually have a new building coming online to replace faculty towers, which will start in the fall. So yeah, there's a lot happening on our campus.
Now, as far as chemistry, that's the department you're in. Student has to go to CSUB and they're like, all right, I've got to take this chemistry class. Regardless, I mean, the sciences that they need to take, regardless of what they're going to school for. Right. What are some of the chemistry offerings?
In terms of the coursework that we offer, we actually have a full-service chemistry and biochemistry department. So every course related to a chemistry major or biochemistry major, including organic chemistry, polymer chemistry, instrumental analysis, we have all the courses. In fact, across this country, the curriculum in chemistry departments is really driven by the American Chemical Society. It's a national organization. Okay. And they say if you want to have a certified degree in chemistry, you have to have these complements of courses. To a large extent, yeah. And we offer all of them. We also provide service courses for the other majors, for biology, nursing, physics. They're all required to take some chemistry as well.
So students that may not be familiar, they're like, all right, well, you can go to school and take chemistry, be a chemistry major, but I don't want to teach chemistry. What are some occupations kids can look forward to by studying chemistry?
Yeah, actually, chemistry is probably one of the most marketable degrees in the sciences, because you have some real quantitative skills, the ability to work with computers, the ability to do some modeling. We have 150 chemistry majors. There may be a handful that are going to go off and teach chemistry. The remaining, they're going to go to professional programs, medical school, veterinarian, optometry school. They're going to go work for biotech companies in product formulation, quality control, analysis. Can work in local labs doing analysis related to oil field work. There's a number of local labs. Yeah. So There's a wide variety of occupations that are accessible for chemistry majors. They're not all chemistry teachers. We have chemists that are working for the oil companies as analysts.
All right. So a lot of opportunities for students in that program.
Most certainly.
Now, you've been doing that since '96 at CSUB, but recently you've taken on a new role.
I have.
And what is that?
Yeah, actually, I've just taken it on for the second time. I'm starting my my second term as the faculty athletics representative.
And how long is the term?
3-year term.
Okay, so you've done 3 and you were
Done
like, I can do this again.
I can do it again.
Okay.
Yeah. It's one of the most enjoyable activities on campus, with the exception of Science Bowl, which I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. But the faculty athletic representative, all Division I schools with regard to the NCAA, they have to have one faculty member on the campus that's designated in this role to really maintain institutional control. It's an academic institution, so that needs to be our priority.
Everybody's got to be following the guidelines and what they want met, and you're the one that makes sure that all happens.
Myself with a large group of people. There's
So
a
you
number
guys
of
are
us.
assisting all of the students in this to make sure
They're eligible.
everybody's compliant.
That's
and-
right. That's right.
All right. And so you volunteered to go into this again.
Yes.
Okay.
I did.
I didn't know if somebody said, hey, you know what, you did such a great job, you're going to do it again. Because
Yeah. No, I wasn't voluntold.
Okay.
I did really volunteer for this. Again, it's something I've really enjoyed, especially getting to know these student athletes. They're really quite an impressive group of students.
Well, speaking of student athletes, there are other types of science athletes, I guess, mathletes they're sometimes called, things like that. Science Bowl is coming up this weekend.
That's right.
Talk to us a little bit
Yeah.
about that.
Oh, I'd be glad to. In fact, this whole week for me has been consumed with Science Bowl. This is the 20th year that this event has occurred on our campus. It's the 24th year for the Kern County Science Bowl.
Okay.
And this is a high school event that brings in high school teams from essentially all local high schools. We have 15 local high schools represented in the event Saturday. There's one from Templeton, which is over in the San Luis Obispo area, that also comes. And it's a full day competition that starts out in the morning with a round robin competition where all of the teams compete. At the end of the morning competition, the top 4 teams go on to a double elimination tournament in the afternoon en route to the finals.
Okay.
So we're one of 60 regional sites in the country that carries out this competition. The winner of this event goes to Washington, D.C. for the
wow.
finals in sometime in April. The format for the competition, it's really quite interesting and exciting to watch. There's 2 teams from 2 different high schools. There's 4 team members for each team, and we have a buzzer system. It's kind of a Jeopardy format question.
And we can see some of that going on, in the past.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's really exciting. The kids come, they're really enthusiastic, charged, they want to win, they want to show everything that they know, and it's a great event.
Do you have powerhouses, let's say, schools that are continually in those Final Four or
Yeah.
have moved on a couple of times? Are there any
There
local
are.
schools that-
There's a couple of local schools. When I first started, and I've been doing this since '96, when I'm the coordinator now. Initially, I was just one of the
Getting
volunteers.
in there and helping it.
And early on when I was here, Bakersfield High School was the perennial winner. But we've seen some changes over the years. In the last few years, Stockdale High School seems to be the one that everybody
to beat
wants to
now,
beat.
huh?
Yeah, and in fact, they won last year. I think last year we had 2 Stockdale teams in the finals.
So a school can send more than one team.
They can. They can submit up to 3 teams, and generally we'll accept 2 without any further thought. If they want to have 3 teams, we have to make sure that we're not blocking anybody else out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, if somebody wanted to go and check out the Science Bowl, it's at CSUB. Where on campus should they go, and when will it be occurring?
Yeah. It is open to the public. Anybody can attend the event. It's It starts Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, and depending upon the number of rounds we have to have in the finals,
To get
because
to that
remember,
point.
it's double elimination, it could go to 5.
That's a long day for you.
It is a long day. The entire event occurs in sort of a central large building on campus known as DDH, Dorothy Donahoe Hall. And once you get in the central part of the campus,
It's pretty easy to
you can't
find
miss
that,
it. There's 200 kids running around with their T-shirts and talking science.
All right, well, you know what? We had a pleasure going out there last year and filming some of that, and continued success with the event again this year.
Hey, well, thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Well, you know what? We're glad you
Yeah.
had a little bit of time to come out. I know that you have an activity you need to take care of as far as athletics goes
Yes.
tonight after taking care of the chemistry thing today.
That's right.
All
Always
right.
something going on.
636-4357 is the phone number. Phone tutors are available on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but right now we're going live out to Loudon Elementary School with Don.
Hi, we're live at Loudon
All right,
Elementary
thanks,
School.
Doc.
We're here with Emilio. He's in 4th grade, and we're here to work on a couple of problems. And it has to do with mixed fractions. So Emilio, which one do you want to work first? The subtraction one?
Yes.
Okay, so, now what are we going to do with this problem? What does it say to begin with?
Well, today we're in Shafter. We're at Sequoia Elementary School, and today
6,
6, 9 tenths.
9/10, subtract
3, 7 tenths.
3 7/10. Very good. So what's our very first thing we're going to look at?
So are you going to come back to us, Brian?
The whole numbers. And the fractions.
We look at to make sure our
Denominators are the same.
are the same. Are they the same?
Yes.
Very good. So I need to subtract the 7 from the 9. What does that leave?
2.
Okay, put 2 down. Make it a little bit bigger if you would, please. There we go. Fraction bar and denominator. Very good. Now we have 6 wholes, and we're going to subtract
3.
3 wholes. What does that leave?
3.
Okay, now, do we leave that like that, or do we always reduce it to its lowest term?
Always reduces to the lowest term.
So we're going to put an equal sign up there, right over here. Very good. Bring over your whole numbers. Now, what is 2/10 reduced to?
Can be reduced to 1.
Very
Fifth.
good. 1/5. So what we did, we divided 2 by 2 and 10 by 2, because they're both even numbers, and that comes out to 3 1/5. Is that correct?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. What's the next one we have here?
7. 4,
7
6.
and 4, 6. And what are we going to do?
Add
We're going to add, yeah. What number are we going to add to it?
4, 3, 6.
4 and 3, 6. Okay. First thing we look at,
Is 7, 4, 6.
we look at
The fraction
denominator.
denominator.
And are they the same?
Yes.
So we can add 3 to the 4. What does that come out to?
7.
7. Very good. Got your fraction bar. Bring down the 6. What is the whole number? 7 plus 4.
It's 11.
That's 11. Now, what's this one? That's an improper,
That's
isn't
an
it?
improper fraction.
So what does that come out to? How many 6 are there in 6? All right, on this one. There's one whole,
One.
isn't there? 6, 6. So if we take 6 from 7, what does that leave? 1.
1.
So 1/6. And we're going to add a whole number to that 11. What does that make that?
12.
Yeah, 12. So go ahead and write that in. No, not there. Just leave that one there. We'll put it over here.
Okay.
Put an equal sign right there. There. Are we done? Can't reduce?
Yes.
Then it's all proper fraction with a mixed number, huh?
Yes.
Yep. There we are. Excellent job. Back to you, Mike.
All right, nicely done. Got the kids out there at Loudon Elementary, home of the Leopards, working hard on mixed numbers this afternoon. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. Don't forget, all of those kids that are working on those problems this afternoon will also be entered into a drawing for a 4-pack to go see the Bakersfield Condors, who I guess are playing tonight.
Oh,
There's a game tonight with the Condors.
all right.
And usually weekend affairs, but then occasionally you do have to play some weeknight games. So
Yep.
this is one of those nights. So who knows? Maybe one of the students in the past that has won a 4-pack possibly go to the game tonight.
Nice.
School night, but you can get back in time.
Sure.
All right, here we go. We're going to kind of a similar problem to what we were just working on.
Okay.
A surveillance camera photographs a shoplifter.
Really?
Not good right there.
Shoplifter.
In front of a 3.5-foot counter. So 3.5 feet is the counter height.
Counter is 3.5 feet.
Feet.
Okay.
The photograph, the person in the photograph appears 6 inches tall.
Okay, photograph. So in the photograph, the
They
shoplifter,
appears 6 inches tall.
6 inches.
And the counter appears to be 4 inches.
4 inches. Okay. All right. So let's see. We have 4 things that we have. We have the shoplifter that we don't know his height, but we have a counter that's 3.5 feet. And in the photograph, we do know that the shoplifter appears to be 6 inches tall, and the counter appears to be 4 inches tall. So this is another comparison problem.
And we'd like to know the size of the person in inches.
In inches.
Right, not feet and inches, just inches.
Really, because it's interesting, because the counter is given in feet. So okay.
Well, we're going to put a little twist on that for you.
All right. So let's see if we can do that. Let's do it in inches then. So we're going to compare the actual height of the shoplifter and the counter and the apparent height of the shoplifter and the counter in the photograph. So it looks like if I'm going to take the shoplifter, I don't know how tall the shoplifter is, right, in real life, but I know that he appears to be 6 inches tall in the photograph. In real life, actually, the counter is 3.5 feet, but you said we want to do this as inches.
Correct.
So I'm going to take 3.5 feet, and I'm going to multiply that by the number of inches in every foot, which is going to be 12. And let's see what we get when we do that. That's going to be 7, and that's going to be 5 and 3. So this looks like it's going to be 12, carry the 1, 420 with 1 decimal place. So this looks like it's going to be 42 inches for the actual height of the counter. So actual height goes on top, so that's going to be 42 inches. And the apparent height in the photograph of the counter is 4 inches. So I think I've got those 4 numbers, right? X for the shoplifter, 3.5 feet or 42 inches for the counter, 6 inches in the photograph for the shoplifter, and 4 inches for the counter. So let's go ahead and do this and see what we get for X. I know that I can take care of those, and I can cancel out those inches. And when I cross multiply, I'm going to get 4x equals 6 inches times 42. So I'm going to get 6 times 42. That's 12 and 1. That's 24 and 1. That's 25. So that's going to be 252 inches. So 4 times some number is 252 inches. All we have to do is divide both sides by 4. Inches stay in there. I canceled those inches, but I didn't here because my answer is going to have inches. And all I have to do is divide 4 into 252, which again works out pretty nicely. It looks like that's going to be 6, which is 24, and 12. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. That turns out to be X is 63 inches.
Indeed it is. And just for the sake of doing it, let's convert that into feet and inches instead of somebody going, hey, how tall are you? I'm 63 inches. They say
right.
feet and inches.
Yeah.
So
So I know that if I multiply by 12, I can change feet into inches. So to change inches back into feet, all I have to do is take this 63 and divide it by 12. And I get 5. So 5 times 12 is 60. And instead of writing it as a decimal or a fraction, I'm going to write it as remainder because I know that this is going to be 5 feet and my remainder is going to be in inches. So here's one time where we do use remainders because I don't usually say I'm 6 1/4 feet tall.
Right.
It's 6 feet 3 inches.
But it would be 5 feet.
Excuse me.
3 inches.
5
Right.
inches. There's my answer. 5.
Too many sixes up
63. 6'3" and 6'3". I got carried
Right.
away. So 5 feet 3 inches for the shoplifter.
All right, nicely done. Thank you for that. We'll be heading out to Loudon again right after this.
Well, today we're in Shafter. We're at Sequoia Elementary School, and today we're here to... Well, today we're at Sequoia Elementary School with 6th grader Nevaeh. You ready?
Yes.
All right, I have had this problem waiting for the perfect student, and you are that person. You ready?
Yes.
All right, why don't you go ahead and read what we have to do?
Find the difference.
And what problem do we have to work on?
We have 7 3/4 minus 5 4/5.
All right, how would you like to start this?
Well, I would. Sometimes I would multiply 5 times 5 and 7 times 4. Or we could do 3/4 minus 4/5. So you can't do 3 minus 4. So you would.
Yeah, that's kind of hard to do all that, isn't it? So how about if we do this? So you were talking about multiplying them and then turning them into improper fractions. How about if we leave the whole numbers the same and let's get a common denominator here first? All right?
So it would be 20
Okay.
for the common denominator.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and rewrite the problem. So we have 7 and something over 20 now, right?
Yes, we have 7 and 15 over 20.
All right, and for students that are just learning how to do this, how did you come up with 15 over 20?
Well, what I did was, since we have 4 times 5, we multiply 4 times 5 and you get 20. So whatever you do to the bottom, you must do to the top. So it'd be 3 times 5, which is 15.
Okay, because the common denominator for 4 and 5 is 20. And you just happen to hit the lowest one on that. All right?
So then you do minus 5. 5 times 4 and 4 times 4 is 5 and 16 over 20.
Okay.
Equals 15 minus 15 twentieths minus 16 twentieths is...
Can't do that, can we? So if we can't just go 15 minus 16, we're going to have to borrow from something, right?
Yes.
So what would you like to borrow from?
We would borrow from 7.
Perfect. And what will that now become?
7 would become 6, and 15 would become 16.
No, because you're borrowing a whole 1, okay? And a whole 1 would be the same as 20 over 20, since that's the denominator we're working with. So if we're going to add 20 twentieths to this, how many twentieths will we now have?
$35 over
Perfect.
20.
Right, so we'll have 6 and 35 twentieths now. Make sense? Because if we're borrowing a whole 1, we're borrowing 20 twentieths. Because any number, top and bottom the same, is equal to 1, right? So now we have 6 and 35 twentieths minus 5 and 16 twentieths. Now can we go ahead and do that problem?
Yes.
Okay.
So I would just rewrite it to 6 and 35 over 20 minus 5 and 16/20ths,
Okay.
and that equals 10/20ths, but then
Almost. Because 35 minus 16. So if you want to work it out on the side over there, do 35 minus 16.
you 19.
There you go. So instead of the 10/20ths, we're going to have
19/20ths.
perfect. What else do we need to do?
So now you have to subtract 6 and 5. So 6 minus 5 is 1. 1 and 19/20ths is your answer.
Perfect. Nicely done. I was almost going to think you were going to forget about that 6 and 5, but you got it. Perfect work. And once again, a big thanks to all of the students and staff at Sequoia Elementary School. We had a wonderful day when we were out there. When we were doing that intro to, do the math, we had a lot of kids coming out of school that day and were kind of caught off guard, like, oh, what's everybody screaming do the math for out here? But anyway, we had a wonderful time while we were out there. We do have phone tutors available most Tuesdays and Wednesdays throughout the regular school year. And the reason I bring that up is because we're beginning of February right now. We're going until mid-March this year. So once the time changes right before the spring break is when we'll be concluding the live programs for this year. So if there's something you need a little bit of help on, something will be coming up possibly at the end of the year, or you need to just kind of get refreshed on something that you've done earlier in the year.
Right.
You've got about, I think, 5-6 weeks left maybe to get some free help on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Once again, emails work well, and we will get back to the student at Centennial as soon as we're through with today's program. But emails work best if you email on Monday or Tuesday so that we can look at them Tuesday and Wednesday, instead of possibly sending it to us on Thursday and we won't see it again until Tuesday.
Right.
So hopefully that will help out some students that are able to email and not able to call.
And we'll get to those emails as soon as we can, though, once we get to them, right?
Right. And also, this month, a 5th grade call-in contest, and that is going on. This is the second week, and you have a full 4 weeks of that during the month of February. And right now, there is a class from Noble Elementary with a slight lead on some of the other schools, so congratulations to that classroom at the moment.
Right.
Because we're only 3 days into this thing, and we've got
changes.
10.
We've had some really competitive contests in the past. I know, and some really, especially like the 7th grade contest was really
Right,
good.
there was one year where it went right down to 5:30. There was one call difference between the two classrooms that eventually went on to.
So every call counts.
Every call does count. If you need some information on how to call or when to call, most of you should have received these stickers, just like the one on your screen right now, at your school. If you have not received one of those, all you have to do is give us a call, and the phone numbers are at the bottom of your screen periodically throughout the program. Simply let us know what school you attend, and we'll send out as many stickers as you like. If you go, hey, we have 400 kids out here, we need stickers for them, the next day we'll have 400 stickers out to you, and that way every student can have those out there. If you're calling from outlying areas of Kern County as well as San Luis Obispo County, that phone number is toll free at 1-866-636-6284. Don't forget, you call from San Luis Obispo County, we do your math problem on TV, you automatically win yourself some ice cream courtesy of our friends at Doc Bernstein's or Doc Bernstein's Ice Cream Lab. And as Doc said, doesn't matter how you say it, as long as you like it. And indeed, we do like that, and we do certainly appreciate all of the fine folks over at Doc's and their ice cream lab. Speaking of heading out places, we're going to head back out to Loudon Elementary right now, where Don is working with some other students. Don, as soon as you're ready, take it away.
Thank you, Mike. Well, live at Loudon, we're here with Brianna. She's in 6th grade, and we're here to do some fractions, and we're going to do divisions. Brianna, take it away.
I already have one.
Oh, you already have one then. Okay. What's the first step we do here?
You're going to set up the problem like you would right here, but you're going to change it to multiply.
So the very front one stays the same, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you switch this one, it's called a reciprocable.
Reciprocal, very good. And this was changed from division to times. That is fine, just put a fraction mark underneath it. Okay, now what do we do?
Now you're going to multiply across, which you get 5 over 6.
Yeah, because 1 times 5 is 5, 2 times 3 is 6. Will that reduce it all?
No,
No, so that's the answer
the
to
final
the
answer.
Yes. Very good. Now what was that called again? Go down from here 3/5 to 5?
Reciprocable.
Reciprocal, yeah. Yeah, how did I teach you how to do it? You recip your cola, huh? Reciprocal. Okay, let's go on down and work this one. So the first thing we're going to do is keep the front one the same. Okay. Change the times,
7 over 3.
which is called the,
Reciprocal.
yep, reciprocal.
Which you get 28 over 27, but it's an
Improper fraction, yeah. So how do we take care of something like
You're
that?
going to divide it, and it can go into ones.
Okay, let's show it up here. Show the division part. It goes once, so we subtract 27. Very good. That's the remainder, and we don't put R1, do we?
No.
Just put the 1 right up there, and then what do we do underneath it?
Add a 27.
Yeah, because we're still dividing it by 27. So our answer is what?
1 over
Let's
27.
put it right down here. No, we forgot our whole number. Put a 1 in front of here. Oh yeah, this is a whole, huh? Yeah, let's put that in there. Well, don't put there, the hole's much bigger, isn't it? You can erase that and redo it. Yeah, erase this one too. There we are. Put a whole number. No. Go all the way down. It's a whole number. It's bigger, huh? So put it all the way down. Like this. It's a whole number.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's going to be a 1. And
There we are. Okay, and that's the problem. Excellent. Way to go. Oh, well, that's a good bump. Back to you, Mike.
All right, thanks for that, Don. 636-4357 is the phone number, and we have another problem similar to the ones we've been working on.
Okay.
This is quite an exclusive grocery market you're going to be going to.
Okay.
All right, 3 potatoes.
3 potatoes.
Do you have a preference on potatoes, by the way? You like russets, the red potatoes, little Klondikes? Do you have a preference?
Probably the gold, yeah, the Klondikes.
Klondikes?
Those are really good.
You know what? Based on how you make them, there's not a bad spot, I don't think.
Yeah, but you can cook them,
Well,
some of them too much, yeah.
All right. So 3 potatoes are going to cost you $22.
I'm sorry?
I said it was an exclusive supermarket you're going to. So 3 potatoes cost
Wow.
$22.
Let me move this down here. Interesting. Cost $22.
We need to know how much it would cost for 5 potatoes.
5 potatoes. Holy cow. Well, I gotta tell you, I would never spend $22 on 3 potatoes, but they must be really good.
Instead of at the market, let's say these are being served in a restaurant with some exclusive toppings.
So 3 servings of potatoes. So, all right, so we want to figure this out. So again, one way I could do this problem is if 3 potatoes cost $22, I could figure out the cost of 1 potato in this problem, take that and then take that and multiply it times 5 and get this cost. That's one way of doing the problem, but there's actually a simpler way. In the previous problems that we've done, we're comparing, right? We're comparing 3 potatoes to the cost. So we can say that 3 potatoes cost $22. So 5 potatoes is going to cost how much? And I'll just call this X because we don't know what it is. That avoids some of the work, not as much work in this problem as the previous problem we did, but it we could encounter some rounding off errors because we're working with money, so this will avoid some of that. So I know that 3x is going to equal 5 times 22, 10 and 11. So that's going to be 110. So all I have to do to get my answer is divide both sides by 3. And it looks like I'm going to get 5 potatoes is going to be 110 divided by 3. Well, let's see, that's going to be 3. That'll give me 9. And 3 goes into 20, 6 times. So that'll give me 18. And it doesn't work out evenly, so I'm working with money here. So I'll keep adding it until I get to 3 decimal places so I can round off. Let's see, that's going to be 6 again. That's 18. And 6 again. And it's going to be 6 again. It's going to be 2. It's going to be a repeating decimal. So my answer is going to be 36 point, and since I'm working with money, it's not 66 cents, but because the next number is a 6 and it keeps going, I'm going to round this off to, looks like $37 and...
Well, $36.
Where did I get
There you
7?
go.
Again,
You were rounding to the nearest
I
whole
was
dollar.
ahead of myself. It's going to be $36.60. Here's the 7, 67 cents. So that looks like our answer for the cost for those 5 potatoes.
There you go. Well, speaking of rounding, let's say we wanted to round to the nearest whole dollar.
Mm-hmm.
Then it would be...
So the nearest whole dollar would be to here, and that would be $37 if I rounded it off to the nearest dollar.
Right. So that's how somebody might be able to say, oh, it's 37, but they're rounding
Right.
to a different place.
If they didn't want any change.
Right. All right. You know what? Do you have a favorite topping on potatoes if there was a baked potato? Because I know at a lot of schools they have salad bars now, and they have a potato salad bar with a lot of toppings that you can put on right at school. So do you have a favorite couple of toppings you like to put on baked potatoes?
Butter would be my
Butter
number
is
one.
necessary.
Butter, and I could take, probably my favorite would be just butter. But I'll take sour cream,
Okay.
and I'll take
Bacon
chives.
bits, chives, indeed.
Yeah, and maybe bacon
cheese from the
bits.
boys in the back.
Cheese, yeah.
Well, everybody's got
You
their own
can
little thing
really
right there. There's a
pile
lot
them
of
on.
different things.
Yeah.
And it better be packed if it's going to be 3 for $22.
$2,
right
that's
there.
right.
We'll find out if Don has some right after this.
On your mark, get set, go!
It's kind of what we call disguised learning because we make it fun. The activity leaders are awesome with the kids. They have a good time. They love what they do. In all of our activities that we do, whether it's robotics, STEM, or the arts and crafts, sports, or fitness, or nutrition, there's always some learning in it.
Science, technology, engineering, and math right here at the Boys and Girls Club in Kern County. Chevron has supported this program for a couple of years. We're glad to do that. So today they're building Ferris wheels and helicopters and building robots.
Oh, that's cool!
The great thing to see is the innovation that's taking place. If you notice, we have no instructions near us. There's no diagram telling us how to put things together, but you can see things being built here, and they're actually working.
It's basically a snowplow, a lawnmower, a ladder, and a paintbrush, and a vacuum mixed into one. It's a lot of fun because you get to use your brain and you get to use geometry, and it helps you learn how to build stuff.
I would definitely say it's fun disguised as learning. The basic concepts, the geometry, the shapes, the angles, making things work together. I saw one student build a helicopter, and he was trying to set a platform or set it down. Well, it was too back heavy. At that point, he didn't realize that he's actually looking at some structural engineering, so he had to add some weights to the front to balance it out. Then he had some other features. So it's a lot of different math and science fields here that they don't even know about yet.
It's powerful. I mean, our employees care about the kids. They want them to succeed. Giving back in our local communities is really important to Chevron. This year, we hope to volunteer 5,000 hours. And this is an example of that. Our employees are out there giving back to worthy causes.
They are really nice. They like to help us and they like to build stuff too. They're having a lot of fun just putting pieces together.
Having Chevron come in and work with us is awesome and fantastic. It gives everybody some more time hands-on with the kids and get to know them, and they get to explore and do more things when we have volunteers from Chevron.
And just a reminder, if I'm not mistaken, and maybe Brian can tell me in the back, that Do the Science is on right after Do the Math on Tuesdays. Indeed it is. That's every Tuesday or select Tuesdays? Some Tuesdays. So select Tuesdays is Do the Science, which follows right after Do the Math. And Do the Science, we've had a lot of great programs that we were able to go out and
Neat experiments that you guys can do.
I mean, they're just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and there's just so many things you can do.
Going out and seeing these things, and one of the recent ones that we've done is with the water.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And one of the, I know that when Dr. Lefevre was in here talking about different chemistry classes and things that kids can take, there's a class at CSUB called Water and the West.
Yes.
And it's a science class that you can, all I saw was that was the title of the class, but probably a very significant one right now.
Right now with the drought and everything, that's really significant, how important it is with water in the West.
Right. Significant digits.
Yes.
That is something that I know that we've spoken of a couple of times on the program. And for kids that are like significant digits, how many, so significant digits, how would you?
I remember that not so much from math, I remember that from science.
Right.
Science, so like with money, you know, we're talking about significant digits.
You need to have 3 numbers after the decimal so you know how to round.
Right. And so it just depends on how accurately, I guess in science, it's how accurately you can measure something, because you can't have your answer really more accurate than the measurement. So if you measure to 1 decimal place, your answer is usually the 1 decimal place. So you do it to 2 significant digits and round off, if I remember correctly from my science classes.
Which was many moons ago?
Many moons ago. I took chemistry in college, and that was probably the last time I took chemistry.
Right, well I think most students do. I mean, I think it's kind of a rare thing that you don't take a chemistry.
It is such an important class, yes.
And a lot of students think, well, I'll just take some other science, but then you later see how chemistry ties into so many other things.
Everything, goes back to chemistry.
All right, well, you know what? We're going to head back out to Loudon Elementary in just a moment, but right now what we're going to do is we're going to do an interest problem.
Okay.
All right? So you borrow $1,000 for a year.
$1,000.
And you are being charged 27.9% interest.
For 1 year. And it's
27.9%.
27.9%.
We need to know the amount of interest for the year.
Okay. I know that some students, for some reason, when they see this $1,000 and they see this percent, they know that they have to move the decimal point in a percent problem. So I see some students want to move it 3 decimal places because of the $1,000. But we know that percent always means 100. So I know I'm going to change 29% to 0.279. And I'm going to multiply that 0.279 times 1,000. So I'm going to take 0.279 and multiply it times 1,000. I'm going to put the 1,000 on the bottom because I'm just going to do 1 multiplication. I'll bring down those zeros and multiply it times 1 and move it over 1, 2, 3 places and get $279. So 1,000, right, times 0.279 gives us our $279. Now I know that some students can multiply by 1,000 just by moving the decimal 3 places. It gives me the same answer. Now the question asked, how much interest did you pay?
Right.
So this is the interest. It did not sound like you asked, what's the total amount? That
We
would
have
be
no interest in that.
in that. There's
So there
my
we go.
answer, and that's where we're going to stop at.
All right, well, right now we'll go out for the final time to Loudon Elementary and Don.
Thanks, Mike. Well, here we are at Loudon Elementary again. We've got Diamond, 5th grade, and she's going to do this word problem right up here. You want to go ahead and read it, Diamond?
Elliot ran 4 laps in 2 and
2 minutes, 9
2
seconds,
minutes, 9 seconds, and
2/10 of a second.
2/10 of a second. If he ran at the same speed for each lap, what was his time for each lap?
What are we going to do?
We're going to divide this by this.
Okay. Instead of putting that in, let's just take that one out. We'll just work with this. Okay?
Like that?
Mm-hmm. So what's the very first thing that you learn to do when you're dealing with decimals? What do you do with that?
We bring it up.
Bring it up. Right. Okay. Now, does 4 go into 2?
No, so I'm going to put a 0.
So what do we do next?
But it does go into 25 times.
Okay. Then what do we do?
We bring down the 9.
So now we say, does 4 go into 9?
It does 2 times.
And 2 times 4 is 8. Then,
We bring down the 2.
that's a lot of bring downs, isn't it?
Yeah. And 4 times 3 equals 12.
12. Very good. Now, if I were going to write this one this way, how would I write that? I'd write it 52.3 seconds per what?
Lap.
Lap. And there we are. Okay. Well, being here at Loudon Elementary, we have gifts. So that was the top one. So Diamond, whoops there, dropped your card. You get to wear the Do the Math shirt. You're an ambassador for Do the Math. And we have Brianna, here's your card, I don't want to drop that one. And your Do the Math ambassador shirt. That means tomorrow, everybody has to wear their shirt tomorrow, right? Back to you, Mike. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for that, Don. Let's find out who's going to the Condors.
All right, let's see, it is Diamond from Loudon Elementary.
All right, congratulations, Diamond, going to see the Condors. And until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, California Resources Corporation, Kern County Water Agency, Southern California Edison, Kern Schools Federal Credit Union, and Panama Buena Vista Union School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.